First off, tip one is I think it's really important that we understand how the LMs work, the large language models. So this is a little chart that I made, and basically it's just to explain that you need to define your ad goals and objectives before you start off. You need to be clear about providing the assets for the proper audiences. Please check, make sure your connected data sets and pixels are there. And then from there, the way the LLMs work is it's taking all that information, collecting the signal that the customers are giving it, and then sending it through. See, that's that green section right there. That's that learning phase. And from the learning, it then applies that learning forward. You know, it's like we want our kids to do, right? We teach them something, they learn it, they apply it forward. So that's why it's really important, because then you can review the metrics, provide it feedback, and again, it iterates it again. This is why when people call me in November and say, can I have my ad set up for Google? I'm like, I can do it, but it's not going to do as well. This time of year is perfect. I love JCK because you're going into the summer. And I know the summer is not always the greatest time in the stores, but man, for digital testing and cost per clicks are down because your bigger brands aren't leaning in because it's not Q4. So use this to your advantage. This is a great time for you to let the algorithm teach your ad account. Okay? The second thing here is to please get your digital house in order. So this means your website has to be set up properly from a technical perspective. This means including the data sets and pixels from Google, Meta, TikTok. Recommend you do it through Tag Manager. Tag Manager is part of Google Analytics. It puts one script into your website as opposed to 4 scripts. It faster loading. So if you're doing your website yourself and you've not done this, get a hold of somebody who knows Tag Manager, because it will help with the speed and efficiency of your website, but also will send all the signals back to all the platforms you need to. Last but not least here is product feeds have to be connected correctly. If you haven't looked at your Google Merchant Center, by the way, a reminder, you get a free listing in Google Shopping for local businesses provided your content is set up properly. So make sure you're checking your Google Merchant, your Meta Commerce, your TikTok. And those of you who are starting to do Pinterest, Pinterest does the same thing. If your data tracking is not set up, then the quality of your conversions and your path to purchase are just not going to be there. And what? The model can't learn properly. Tip number 3 is plan your ad strategy. It sounds like something like duh, but how many people have gone, oh God, I have an event in 3 weeks. We need to have known about it 6 weeks ago, okay? Think about your evergreen ads, your events, your holiday. Everything needs time to learn. Another thing that's really important now is being strategic with your setup. Years ago, we used to set up an ad, and then we'd pay attention to the metrics and then do a new one. You do not want to do that anymore, because what? It's continual learning. So you refresh the content in the ads. You're optimizing for the outcomes, but you are not putting on one ad, turning it off, okay? Also, the quality of your creative is always going to matter. Please be unique and be you. You will find that you will always do better. Again, little thing, if you didn't come to the AI panel, but that was actually something someone mentioned, right, is the fact that, he gets to run ads that are different from, other people. So that's the kind of thing I think is really important. Okay, tip number 4, focus on personalization. So here's a couple ways you can do that. Remember that if you've connected your commerce accounts, you can dynamically retarget people so they see what they're interested in, and then you can also serve them up other things in that silo of or area of products. Also, remember, I said this with the 100 audiences. Think about segmentation. Remember to segment your audiences into these platforms by occasion or buyer type, okay? And then remember to create different sets of ads to connect with them. Mirroring. I'm so happy I heard this on so many people from today, but this is something that we forget about when we're writing ad copy. I tell my clients, go to your online reviews, use the way they say things about you, and then put those copy in the ads. And try different versions of it, but this is a really great way to make people feel, hey, you get me. And then last is personalized promotions. You heard me say it at the very beginning, okay? So use zip code, target Meta Google ads to custom creations for certain regions, and test different things out. Which brings me to tip number 5, experimentation. The fun thing about artificial intelligence is that it can do so much for us so quickly. So why not? Think about optimizing your ad scheduling and device targeting, meaning maybe you are only going to run certain ads to iPhone versus Android. You can do that. A little thing I always tell people is this is where you get to learn psychographics of people. iPhone users are usually first adopters. Android users are more parochial with the way they purchase. This is research, not mine. It's out there. So think about how you might target or change your ads based on devices. A/B test different landing page layouts. So even though Google can rapidly change things, you should be testing on Meta and other platforms. If I move this around on my page, did I see a better conversion? Don't change the content. Now, little note, make sure that one of those pages does not index in Google so you do not duplicate content. Make sure your campaigns have diverse creative. Upload multiple images, videos, headlines, and descriptions. And then test the different types. So you heard me talk about some of these, and if you haven't done them, try them out. And then also do things like I want to run traffic ads versus purchase ads, or purchase ads versus conversions. And then audience types and funnel location. Please remember that when you're running the ads, you want to keep in mind when you're targeting someone who's broad versus specific versus remarketing. All right, my last tip number 6. Manage your metrics. Please don't look at the metrics from Google by itself, from Meta by itself, from your website, your email. I always say create a centralized dashboard. This is a great company. You can actually pull together multiple dashboards, and they're not ridiculously expensive. They're very cost effective. Review and set KPIs for yourself: conversion rate, cost per action, return on ad spend, and then leverage the tools that provide greater insights, not only in those platforms, but also external. So call tracking, add forms, and attribution tracking to your forms that can really be helpful so you understand where people are coming from.